Hey everyone, welcome to Judging for the Win. I'm Dave, and this is my daily ruling. Today's question was suggested by a viewer. Thanks to Laser Sharp for this one. Nick's library has 5 cards in it, and Amy controls Cloudhoof Kirin. Amy plays Ugin's Conjurant. With X equals 10, can she mill Nick out? And I'll lead with the somewhat non-intuitive answer, which is that she cannot. On hearing this, I imagine some people might be thinking it's because this is an X spell, but that is not the problem. It's true that anywhere except for the stack, if you need to calculate the mana value of something, any X's in the mana cost count as 0. But on the stack, X counts as whatever value is chosen for it. Therefore, when Cloudhoof Kirin needs to know the mana value of this spirit spell, the answer is 10. So if that's not the issue, well, what is? And it's actually quite subtle. The relevant rule is that when you're resolving a spell or ability and you need to make a choice, you cannot decide to attempt something that is illegal or impossible to do. Let's see how that applies to the question from the original problem statement. Cloudhoof Kirin offers Amy a choice of whether to have Nick mill 10 cards or not. It is impossible for Nick to mill 10 cards. Therefore, Amy cannot choose this option and must choose for Nick not to mill. Let's contrast this with another situation. What if Amy played a Glimpse the Unthinkable targeting Nick? In this case, there is no choice being made as this spell resolves. We just get an effect that instructs Nick to mill 10. As we noted before, this is impossible. And if an effect tries to do something impossible, it only does as much as is possible. So in this case, Nick would mill 5 and probably go on to lose the game next turn. Some people might think this is a little hard to believe. I mean, if it's not legal for Amy to choose to do something impossible, then how can she cast Glimpse targeting Nick? And the key to this is that the game only checks the immediate consequences of what the player is trying to do. It doesn't try to predict the future when it's determining whether a player is trying to do something illegal or impossible. So if there was something that said Amy couldn't cast Instance or couldn't target Nick, then casting Glimpse targeting Nick would not be allowed. But the game doesn't look forward in time to see that casting Glimpse might cause something to happen down the road that will be illegal or impossible. Another consequence of this principle is that replacement effects are not taken into account when making this determination, even ones that might modify what a player chose to do into something illegal or impossible. Let's bring back that Cloudhoof Kirin from earlier. If Amy played a 3-cost spirit while she controlled a Bruvak the Grandiloquent, the Cloudhoof Kirin ability will ask Amy to choose between whether she wants Nick to mill 3 or do nothing. If Nick has 5 cards in his library, either one of those options would be possible and legal for Nick to perform, so Amy could choose either one of them. The game does not recognize that the Bruvak's ability will replace what Amy chose to do with something else that will be impossible for Nick. Therefore, Nick will be instructed to mill 6, which is impossible, so he will do as much as is possible and mill 5. Ready for a challenge question to test your understanding? Amy has 5 cards in her library and a Surakar Spellblade with 10 counters on it. Can she choose to draw 10 cards? If so, what will happen? Well, if you were just going off of what we talked about so far, you should have said that Amy could not choose to draw at all. However, this was a bit of a trick question because if we look at that rule, it says that for the purposes of stuff like this, drawing a card from an empty library is not considered to be illegal or impossible. Therefore, the correct answer to this question is that Amy would be able to choose to draw. She would draw 5 cards and then almost certainly win the game because the only way this play makes sense is if she had a Laboratory Maniac to replace that 6th draw with something else. If she just did this raw, she would lose the game. I think the reason that card draws have this special handling here is the same as the reason all the card draws are handled one at a time. There are a lot of replacement effects that interact with card draws, and so making it possible for these to apply in cases like this makes such interactions much more intuitive. And that's all I have for you today. How did you do? Join me again next time for another Daily Ruling. Until then, I hope you have a great day.